Let's Talk. I'm your host, Demetrius Stone, and this morning I have Brother Rob with us this morning. So, Brother Rob, please, if we could, first of all, thank you for joining, and you could take a little time to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you're doing in the community, and kind of what you've got going on at this point.
Shay, Grand Rising family. I'll just start by saying it's a pleasure being here today, being able to, share this rising with you and discuss some things I know is going to be important to us as a people and a community. I'll just give a little snapshot. I'm a founder of the African Marketplace at 2251 Florin Road. And what happened in 2015, that's when I created the African Marketplace. We decided that we needed a place for us as a people to come together, fellowship, pour love on each other, and to also develop our own economics. So we invite other vendors in, small business people. They come in, set up tables, and then we have our little market every first and third Saturday. We're going on 8 years strong now. And it's a blessing. The energy that comes into the building all the time is it's good. It's like we started, and from that we grew the Melanin Day School Academy. It's located inside the Obama Room at each market. Sister Nakia Porter, she's the facilitator of that school, and so she's teaching the young brothers and sisters about their blackness and the melanin and giving them that consciousness that they need, as you know, dealing with this dual system that W.E.B. Du Bois was discussing. We got to have that dual consciousness. So she talks about those kind of things. So the market has, like I said, going on 8 years now. We put about 12 to 14 storefront Black businesses in the Sacramento area. And I actually got one in Atlanta now too that grew out of the market. People came in, brothers and sisters started off selling their little products, and then as they learned how to market and expand, and they just kind of took off. Yeah.
To the marketplace a couple of times, Brother Rod. I haven't been there post-pandemic. I think the pandemic upset a lot of the normal paths that we typically moved in, and I think a lot of us are getting back now to doing some of the things and enjoying some of the things that we used to do prior to the pandemic. So I mentioned it though, the school you mentioned that's on the site there. Is that something that currently supplements the schooling that some of the young brothers and sisters are, for lack of a better term, required to attend? Or is it more a replacement for that?
That's exactly what it is. It's a supplemental piece that is Black oriented, it's African centered, because I remember when I was a long time ago, because I'm 67 years young now, but I remember when I was in elementary school, they had a thing called religious and instruction. And at certain days of the week, people would leave out of the classroom early. And the Jewish students, they went to their little religion or whatever training it was. Asians went to theirs, and some of us, we went to different church teachings and things like that. So that's what I tell parents. Parents, you need to supplement your child's education, and you need to let them know who they are and what they're about so they can love their Blackness. They need to understand their skin is a beautiful badge of honor, and they need to feel good about it, because we know when they go into the European system of schooling, I call it the public food system. When you go into that system, they're not going to tell you about yourself. They're going to tell about the European history and what it's going to take to maintain their power. And that's pretty much what we're groomed for. So yeah, it's a supplemental education. I think the age is from 4 on up. She have them in there all the way up to teenagers. So it's a beautiful thing every first and third Saturday. And then I don't have the schedule in front of me, but she does things during the week with them also, with the young people.
Yeah. That's interesting. good to hear you mention about some of the deficiencies of the current school system, and it's sort of what you mentioned when you talked about Mr. W.B. Du Bois was the being able to move in two different systems.
That's right.
So you're right. It's definitely done us a disservice to a large extent. I tell a lot of the brothers all the time, especially with the work that I do with an organization whose goal is to get young brothers to and through college, is there are some benefits of that system which you can absolutely use to your advantage to put you in a place financially, et cetera, while also understanding your own heritage and how that can help your family, your community, but using the system as that sort of a means to get to reach a broader audience even.
That's right. That's right. Because we are here. We have to face it here. And we got to deal with things as we find it. And so, you know, one of the challenges I see for us as a people is the lack of really knowing our story and who we are, not really knowing. Because like I said, I'm 67 years young, and I didn't really get on the fast track of our ancient past and history about 15 years ago to really get to the nuts and bolts of it. And I had started a Sankofa group, and we used the Sankofa group to do research on ancient history. And you familiar with the Hidden Color series?
Not very familiar with it.
Okay, what's his name? Tariq. Tariq. I forget what's Tariq's last name. Tariq. Anyway, brother Tariq. He did a series called Hidden Colors, and what we did was use his videos as a teaching tool. So we had a classroom, and we have like 20 or 30 youth in there, all the way up to 80. And then we be in the room, and then we show some of the video, and then we turn it off about 10 minutes, and then we go ahead and start the room. And we ask the young people first. And we ask them, what did you get out of that, what they just shared? And then the young people will bring forth some information and knowledge. And then once the youth got finished, their elders start chiming in. And it was like a round circle experience of education where the young people teaching us, because they'll tell us some stuff. Sometimes you don't see what they see. And then we go back and segue in. It was a blessing. So we did the Sankofa thing. And the whole thing about the Sankofa was to awaken the African mind. You know, because a lot of brothers and sisters don't know they're still African. I don't care if you hear in America, like Malcolm said, we are Africans, but we just here in America. And that's what I ride with, because it's just a fact. You know, people want to try to, slip off and try to say, well, I'm half Indian, I'm half this and that. Yeah, right. What happened when that policeman pull you over? They don't pull out a chart. Hold on. Let's see. This might be half Native American. The real.
Hey, they're not gonna take a DNA test to see what your lineage is. Yeah, you look black.
It's real out here. That's right. It's real out here.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned the term Sankofa. The organization I work with has utilized that term for one of our programs, Brothers of Sankofa at Improve Your Tomorrow.
Beautiful.
And for those that aren't aware, it really the literal translation of the word is, if I'm not mistaken, it's not taboo to fetch what is at risk of being left behind.
That's right.
That's my understanding of it.
That's right.
It's good to hear that.
Right. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay to go back and use that information and knowledge of the past, bring it forward to the day to empower yourself. That's what we have to continue to do. Yes.
Yeah. I love that. Tell me, Brother Raw, what prompted you to get the African marketplace started? I know for those that haven't gone, I'm sure a good part of this audience has already experienced that and maybe go every weekend.
I hope so.
I've gotten some great stuff from there, some books, lots of bracelets, lots of resources.
Yes.
Also, what prompted you to launch that idea?
Well, going back, it started with Sankofa. When we started doing the Sankofa workshops, the thing about us as a melanated people, anytime we're put in a situation where we're with each other and fellowshipping and loving each other and sharing information and knowledge, there's a certain vibration that happens. Because what happens, we start discussing topics that's important in our villages and things we need to do to solutions. So one of the things we started saying, hey, we need our economic, we need some place to grow our businesses. We need to be able to show up and circulate our money, a la Black Wall Street, you know, had that money rotating back around between ourselves. So inside the Sankofa, this brother Kabidi, he came up with an idea of a food, an online food service. So they started, it was called Sanko. So they started Sanko. It was about him and about 12 other people. They started Sanko. And then from Sanko, I says, okay, that's a great idea. What they're doing, we need some place to be able to come together and present these things. And I came up with the idea of a marketplace. And I looked down the hallways in the building where we was at. And I said, I think what I'll do is go talk to the owner of the building and ask him, is it okay if we start setting up, you know, once a week there, or actually once a month? We started off at once a month, and use the hallways in that building as a place to have vendors down in there and sell products. So that way the brothers and sisters will come, share money with each other, share information with each other. So he allowed us to come in there in 2015. Once we got in those hallways, the energy started vibrating and business kept growing, springing up. All kind of people started making perfumes and shea butters and jewelry. And we started having people coming up with their little food businesses. It was just a lot. Beauty supply company, all kind of things came out of that. So the energy is so good. It's a blessing to see brothers and sisters coming together in love. We got the West African drums. The Charles, he's there every week with the drums. And that right there is another piece itself, because the drums are not just for entertainment. The drums heal and they build you up, because you know it takes us back to who we are. So the energy of the drums is going on, and the being able to share the money. That's what I like. I like that money rotating. I've seen one vendor come up, and they got their table set off, and they get up, go to another vendor table, and they see something they want there. They hand them some money. They take that money, and next thing you know, they're going down the hall buying something, and so on and so on. And so I see the money just rotate. You know, it's just rotating. It's a blessing when you see that. So we have to continue to create our own economical situations, and we have to create our own educational situations. And it's always been the same. Nothing new under the sun. This is what Marcus Garvey was talking about. This is what Malcolm was talking about. We got to do for self. And it ain't no other solutions out there. There's no other solutions. We got to do for self. Once we do for self, everything else takes care of itself.
Yeah, that's powerful. And I couldn't agree more. I think, waiting to be saved by groups who've shown that it's not in their best interest, self-interest to help us is a full strategy.
That's it.
But you're right, and often, Brother Ron, in the circles that I move in, whether it be as a prior nonprofit CEO, as a current program officer, I find myself always having to work within two different systems. You mentioned that the W. Du Bois, the dualism, and that's I think what a lot of white people don't understand is that as an African American, there's two yous. You have two souls.
That's
two thoughts. You have two warring ideas of being an American and being a Black male.
That's right.
How would you say, so to your point, as you mentioned, we need different systems. Some may hear that as and feel that's however they want to term it. I've heard some of the ridiculous phrases, reverse racism, what have you. But it's just an understanding that we have to move differently. And we have to do things differently. We have to consider different things. What are some of your how does that help you sort of move about in your day-to-day, that double consciousness? How does that work for you, and what are some of the challenges with that?
Well, I remember initially, like I said, I'm about 15 strong years. Of course, we've always had a subtle hint that we had to do things differently from day one. You knew that anyway. You know, parents had to protect you, tell you to watch out in the streets. You know, we got to watch how we move and everything. But the one thing I tell the young people, because I've been doing mentoring and coaching and a lot of the, teaching for many years, is that you got to watch how you move out on the streets. Matter of fact, we used to have workshops where we brought the teenagers in, the young people, and we had a brother who was formerly a prison guard, and then we had another brother who was incarcerated. Brother, I guess he wouldn't mind me mentioning his name, Brother Dale McKinney. Brilliant brother, brilliant. He was incarcerated, did several years for a crime he didn't do. And so we start talking to the young people about the importance of knowing how to deal with law enforcement when you encounter them. Because right off the top, they looking at you, they put you in this place as a criminal. They're going to always say, hey, you guilty, no matter what. So we learned teaching them how to keep their mouth shut, and then how to keep themselves calm, and then not to volunteer information, because a lot of times that's what get brothers and sisters incarcerated. They don't know because they opened their mouth and said something. So the best thing to do is don't say nothing, don't volunteer no information, and then wait till you get you an attorney. If you can you can forge your own good. If not, get the public defender and work from there. But moving through this maze, it's a slippery slope for us as Africans in this country. We've been through the system of their I call it miseducation. They teach us against ourselves from day one. Because see, I'm old, man, but I remember the television sets being on when we had 5 stations. It was 5 stations. You know, well, somebody you do 7 and somebody over in 10.
That's right.
And but they used to have Tarzan on TV, and you had this white cat, half naked, you know, swinging through the jungle, and he's whooping all the brothers and sisters' butt. You know, he could whoop everybody. He even beat animals up, right? Tarzan. And so they made us like savages. You know, we half naked with spears. So they was given a negative perception of an African. And so that made us say, oh, I ain't African. Oh, no, I'm American. You know, I'm glad I wasn't there, you know. And then they used to have cartoons that showed the natives, the Africans, putting Europeans in a pot, cooking them, you know, like cartoon. And this was like a joke. You know, this is what they did, a lot of buffoonery. And of course, we had the Amos and Andy and all this kind of stuff. But this was by design to make us feel inferior and to put us in a certain place. Because I remember, you know, coming up, and if I saw a brother or sister with a darker hue than me, it was derogatory to call them African. They from Africa. Look how dark he is. I'm African, this and that. You know, and we still have that racism in our family. That's called, you know, we have the oppression, I call it. We're really oppression. We oppress each other because of our hue or our skin. So it's a lot we have to dig out of, and it's important that we have to unlearn to relearn truth. And that's what we have to do. This thing now, what they're doing in the schools, what do they call that thing? Where they don't want you to know your history. What do they call it now?
Critical race theory.
Critical. Give me a break. Give me in other words, don't tell the truth about history.
Right.
Let's clean it up. Those people just wasn't getting paid to work, you know. But you know, it's okay now because now we all living together in harmony. You know, matter of fact, I don't see color either. You know, which is another farce. But going through all this stuff, the biggest thing I think we face is being able to unlearn and relearn truth, know who we are and what direction we need to go into. Like I heard you say about the schools. it's important that Black parents, if you're not able to get your children in the African Center School, at least get them some supplemental education, and you do your due diligence to teach them about their history, their past, and so they can really know who they are and what's going on out here. Because other than that, they're going to be going around with this jaded view of life, and it ain't real. Because by the time once they get in elementary school, by the time they hit middle school, that's when the racism start kicking in. That's when the divisions start happening on campus. That's when, oh yeah, you're Black, I'm white, and the divide starts. But if a child is already gamed up on it, they have a shield to stand against it.
Yeah, you spot on. You spot on. A couple of things I wanted to mention, Brother Raw. One quick story. And by the way, we often hear the term "Black don't crack." I think you're the epitome of that, because I would have never guessed you were 67, brother. You're good for 67. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
Ashe.
Real quick though, man. A quick story about the 5 channels. So I have 3 daughters between the ages of 15 and 26.
Woo!
And I remember once, a few years back, my second daughter, we were talking to her. She was, flipping through the channels on cable, and she was saying there wasn't anything to watch. And my wife and I we got 200 plus channels. You can't find something to watch. Maybe you should do something else. But we started talking about, as we do as parents. When I was growing up, we had 5 channels. And I remember my daughter asked, "What 5 channels did y'all have?" I said, we had NBC, ABC, CBS. I'm from Sacramento. I grew up in Oak Park. So I said we had channel 31 and channel 40.
Right.
And when I was in middle school, we got channel 58. So we had 6 channels. And my daughter said, "Wait a minute, you could only have 6 channels, and those are the 6 channels you picked?" I said, "No, babe, we didn't get to pick. We didn't get to pick the channels. Those are the only channels that you were able to receive." So just a funny story about how, when you're talking to kids nowadays, it's really hard for them to relate that you didn't have those choices growing up, that they didn't entertainment options, and
right.
And I don't get being bored nowadays.
Oh man,
you got way too much stuff to do. But with that being said, Brother Raw, about yourself personally, do you have children, and if so, kind of how have your views and your teachings sort of helped to shape them? And if you don't have children, about some of the brothers that you mentor.
I have 2 adult sons. One's 45 and one's 20. 40. What Jamil? Jamil is let me get it right. 40. He'll be 42 in December. And then I have a 29-year-old daughter, Janae. She's in Houston now. My sons, we still get together occasionally, do things. Especially me and my son Jamil, my youngest son. We fishing buddies. We go fishing every week, just about. So we do things. And the main thing I always emphasize to them is, we talk about the dual consciousness. Be aware of your environment. Be aware of what you're doing. Be aware of who you move with, because not everybody is your friend, and you got to be careful about your associates, because a lot of times they can get you in trouble,
Right.
Through association. So you got to watch how you move. So I try to instill those values in them. Mentoring. I've been mentoring these young brothers and sisters a long time. I still do it today. Matter of fact, I'm a general contractor by trade. I'm a licensed general contractor. So I teach the brothers and sisters to all consider getting trades. That's my thing. Because when you get a trade, you have a way of getting that now money. Because see, a lot of brothers and sisters can't afford to be waiting to go through college those 4, 5, 6, 7 years, because they need money now. So I said, well, why don't you consider, once you get out of high school, go ahead and get you like a 2-year trade under your belt, an 18-month trade under your belt, learn to do sonogram, x-ray technician, plumber. There's a lot of things out there that make good money. And so I pushed that. I pushed trades. I said, get that money. And then once you start getting that income, you say, okay, now I want to get some more information. Now I want to grow some more. Now you can pay your way through school. Because I personally look at student loans as a trap. because I don't know how many brothers and sisters I done met over the years. You probably know some too. They got them student loans, and some of them never did anything. They just stuck with student loans. They dropped out of school. They got student loan debt though. And then I got some who they end up getting their degrees, and then they go and work in fields that's not even connected to what they got the degree in. You know, some of the jobs they do, you don't even need a degree for, but they sacrifice and got that paper, and now they out there, you know, in a sales position. You know, didn't even need a degree to get in sales, but they in sales, they doing other things. So I don't minimize getting the education. I don't minimize all that, but I know that you got to really, you know, look at everything for what it's worth. And another thing I like to add, I'm a big advocate about brothers and sisters owning property. So I tell them, you need to get you a piece of house, any means necessary, as soon as possible, because that's still one of the main avenues to building wealth through real estate. So that's what I've been pushing on, brothers. It's a lot of them out there that made purchases because I encouraged them, and they come back, and some of them went away, came back and told me they got a house and thanked me for telling them that. Sisters too. My daughter, she just brought her a house in Houston. And these young people, especially here in California, I tell them to consider getting up out of California too, because everything is so overpriced. You know, because these prices, they don't even make sense. You know, you look at these little houses, they have these houses 1,500 square feet, and they tell you got to have, it's $400,000, and that's not even the real value. But of course, in California, they got the numbers way up, but you can go get that a nice house in another state, like in Atlanta, or even though their prices are coming up, you can go into Florida, you can go into Houston, like where my daughter is. She got a nice place out there, like paid like $260 for it. So it's you know, some values out there. You just got to kind of watch how you move and figure it out. So I open myself up for consulting with a lot of these young guys. So they call me up over time and they ask me questions, and I kind of help guide them through the maze, you know, help them like that.
Yeah, I love that. I think I can vouch for student loans. I still have some student loans I'm paying off, even in my early 50s. And you're absolutely right. It really, obviously we are we take out loans disproportionately more than other ethnicities, races, cultures, and that's by design. But yeah, teaching brothers how to avoid that trap. I'm similar to you, Brother Ross, especially with the organization I work with. That's our goal, to get brothers to college. But you want to, you know, those of us who have taken out student loans and paid for them for years, or are still paying on them, also understand the need to get brothers and sisters the benefits of going through college without all that debt.
That's right. Yeah.
But you're right. There's so many things you can do without that degree. I always tell people college is not just what you learn. It's just knowing where we landed, the country that we're in, values networks. And when you're in college, the biggest thing you could do other than go to class, you're networking. You're getting different perspectives. You're now part of this group where no matter where you are at some sort of conference or some sort of event, if you're a Sac State graduate or UC Davis graduate and you bring it up and there's others in the room, you automatically have that connection. Use that. Use that for your own personal benefit. So you're right. It's a different perspective, building up your network, but it's not, it doesn't, not going to college doesn't prevent you from earning a good living. In my perspective, it just helps you build your network and also different thoughts, perspective.
Oh yeah. It's more than one way. It's more than one way to win out here.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that it's important that we, I think it's more important for your child to have good self-esteem and confidence and belief in themselves than good grades.
Yes.
You know, I'd rather have a child who's enthusiastic, love themselves, love who they are, and then at least they try, they work hard, they try. Maybe the grades don't equate, you know, they're not straight A's. They might be a C student, but still they got the enthusiasm, they love themselves, and then what another thing I try to encourage the youngsters to figure out is try different things, figure out what your talent is. Because see, once you figure out what your talent is, what you're really good at, what you love to do, you never work again. If you could do that, you don't, like me as a contractor, I'm fortunate. I used to build clubhouses, tree houses when I was a kid. I used to just build stuff. My grandmother, when I was about 12 or 13, she took me and taught me how to make chicken coops and all this stuff, right? So I love doing all that stuff. So, hey, look, now me and my brother, we laugh about it. We do it now and get paid.
Yeah. That's right. Figure out what you love to do and figure out how to get paid doing that.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I've been big also. We had a brother on the show recently. He's a principal at Grant High School, Brother Darius Henson. And he mentioned the importance of, speaking of college, of historically Black colleges and universities. And that's where he learned and developed that confidence and that knowledge of self that we talk about. So I always tell brothers, I would have loved the opportunity to go to a HBCU. I ain't gonna lie, my dream school growing up was UC Berkeley, because that's what I saw about, heard about it on TV. And at that time, so I was born in '69. So at that time, my teenage years was in the '80s. And I grew up, was born in a time where my dad was definitely socially conscious, born in the '60s. And just protesting was the thing to do. And UC Berkeley, if you was a school, you're gonna protest that.
That's right.
Either San Jose State or UC Berkeley when I was growing up. So, but as I got older, I really wanted to, obviously I didn't have the resources or support or anyone in my family who knew how to get me to college. And I ended up joining the military. But as I got older, I really wish I had been able to attend an HBCU and just to have that experience if I had a college campus experience.
Well, see, the blessing now, though, is because of your experience, and I know you're already probably doing it, it gives you another view, another lens, so to speak. So when you talk to the young people, you're able to kind of give them some suggestions as you mentor and coach them and give them, say, hey, well, look, this is what I did, something you can consider, and then you might consider, going this road, and it's good to have the actual life experience is the share. When we talk to them, you talk from your own personal experience. That's very powerful.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Hey, Brother Rob, tell us about some things that maybe some things that you have going on in the future, or what are some things that you're currently working on, and kind of what are your, if there was like some hopes and dreams that you have for the Black community, the African community in the Sacramento region. What are some things that you hope for, some things you're working towards, or anything you have planned in the future?
Well, I'm pretty much going to maintain course on what I'm doing now, and that is educating and re-educating brothers and sisters unapologetically about who they are, tell them about their culture. They need to understand this and keep putting them on point. And it's like, I say it's part of my spiritual journey. Each one of us was designed and brought upon the consciousness, I will say, we're supposed to do a certain job, a certain responsibility. And then you have to search and find out your lane. Once you find your lane, run in it. So I'm going to run in my lane. So it's like we're in a war. We're in a war for the consciousness of the mind, the Black mind. That's what it's about. So right now, the Europeans are winning. They're winning. They get in our minds because they get us from birth, and then they got all the systems in place to keep us dumbed down. Amos Wilson says, we literally have to be dumb to allow people to treat us the way they've been treating us for all these years. That's what Amos Wilson said. And then when you think about it, it's true, because it's a level of not knowing, and you just don't know how things flow. I talk to brothers and sisters all the time, younger than me, and when I don't go in on them, I just listen to them, and then I be just shaking my head because just so many people just don't know what's really happening. I liken it to The Matrix. You see the movie The Matrix?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, the Matrix, the guy was going along, average Joe, minding his own business, trying to survive, hustling, selling drugs on the side, working, doing this. And then he had his wake-up call. All of a sudden, boom, when he woke up, it was a whole nother world going around. He didn't even know. He was like, oh, no, wow. But the majority didn't know. And that's where we're at today. Most brothers and sisters are really ignorant to white supremacy, racism, and how it functions and what it's about. Most don't know, but it's through education, it's through music, it's through all these different systems of subsystems, entertainment. It's a lot of things out there that are in place and that going to keep you at a lower vibration so you can connect to your really source, your source. So my thing is I was built to wake them up. That's my job. My job is to wake brothers and sisters up. So when I run into them, when I'm having discussions about anything that's going on, any current event, I let them express themselves. And then I come in, I wait till a good point where I can get in and just give them a 1-2, maybe a spoonful of truth. You can't go too deep on them, you kill them. Malcolm said the truth is like medicine, but too much medicine can kill you. So he said what you do is when a young brother or sister come along and they're a little off course, you give them a spoonful of medicine. That way they'll take that and then they'll take it in and then they'll feel a little better. Then maybe they'll get a little curious. Then they come back and ask you for some more. Then you give them some more. When I first started being so-called conscious, with being more aware out of the matrix. Boy, I used to throw all kind of buckets of knowledge on them, boy, quoting books and all. And
you're right.
Also they look at me, you can see their eyes like a deer, with the headlights.
Right.
So I said, uh-oh. So I learned to be calm now. When I run the brother, sister, we talking, young people, I don't go all in on them. I just kind of, correct them a little bit, give them a little bit at a time and kind of move them along the maze. And then a lot of times some of them snap right out of it. Hey, I need more. Hey, man, I need more. I got to call you. They call me up and we talking, about a lot of this stuff. And then sometimes they don't get it, which is okay. So that's just how it is. We got to just take our time. And so when you're in a war like what we're in a war of dealing with the conscious mind of the African. Not everybody is the Navy. Not everybody is the Army. Not everybody is the Marines. Not everybody is Special Forces. Some guerrilla warfare. And that's why I feel I'm kind of the guerrilla warfare. I'm out here, beating it up, hitting it with the 1-2. I know sometimes, like when I do a little round circle with my vendors before each market, a lot of vendors, new ones be in there, and they don't know me, right? I'll say some things, and I can see their eyes go, ah. But after they get to know me, they understand what I'm talking about, that we are who we've been waiting for. Ain't nobody coming to rescue us.
Yep.
That other stuff is nobody coming. So you have to look in the mirror and love who you see and love those who look like you unapologetically and keep moving through the maze. If a brother or sister is really off track, don't panic. Just kind of leave them alone and go on to the next. Build with those that will build with you. And that's how I move. I just build with those that build with me. The ones who not sure or whatever, I leave them alone. And sometimes they come around later. But some of them, they ain't never coming back.
Give them some time.
Yeah, you just don't worry
right.
about it.
And that's a game that we all know to some level. Give someone a little bit. You want to build up that trust first before you start hitting them with all this knowledge. Because if you spend an hour or two talking to a young brother or sister about what they should be doing, eventually they're going to shut down.
Yeah.
And we know this game. We've been playing this game for a while. Even in the dope game, you give them just a taste.
That's right.
To get them coming back.
That's right.
I'm not going to give you everything in the beginning. It's the same way therapists do it. They build up trust. I want to talk to this person about these 10 things, but I got to build up trust first. Maybe that first session, we're going to touch on one thing. I'm not going to try and boil the ocean.
That's right.
And it's the same when as you mentioned, when you're mentoring. I want you to trust me first. I'm going to find out about you. I'm going to listen to you.
That's right.
And I'm just going to give you a little bit at a time. Then I'm going to listen to what
you said. Something key. I like what you just said, brother Demetrius. Listening. We was born and blessed with 2 ears and 1 mouth. So what does that mean? You
Follow that
listen
ratio.
twice as much.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. I tell brothers all the time when they work with young people and young people also. And I worked also with some, I worked at organizations that, nonprofit organizations where most of the staff were white, some, national organizations. And as a leader, you try to get them to understand, stop talking at these kids. You should be listening far more than you are talking, because they will pick up on that. So yeah, I love that that analogy. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Follow that ratio. Listen twice as much as I love that.
Yes.
Hey, real quick, Brother Raw, when's the next African marketplace? I'm sorry, you said, was it the 1st and 3rd Saturday? Did I hear you?
Yeah. The next market is December. I mean, wait a minute. We got one coming up. That's the 19th.
November 19th.
19th of November. That we got one coming up on 19th of November. Then December the 5th, the day after my born day. I'll be 68 years young, baby. Yeah.
Ooh, brother. Man, if I'm looking like you when I'm 68, I'm doing something right, brother.
Hey, man, hey, man, you already got it going on, man. That melanated, man. That melanin hue, boy. But yeah, so that's the next market. The market is 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. And we like to invite everybody, come on down and share the energy, the spirit, the vibration. Come get loved on and get some information and knowledge. We got one of the best museums in the United States, Black museums. And I tell them the Sojourner Truth. I tell them that from experience, because me and my wife, we have traveled all through the United States. And every time we go to another state, we always try to find the Black areas, the Black museums. And I'm telling anybody, the Sojourner Truth is one of the best museums in the United States for us as a people. And everybody needs to experience that museum.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. But I went there, went into that room the first trip I made to the African marketplace. I don't even remember what year it was. I want to say 2017 maybe. Just some powerful, just some of the photos and some of the visuals.
I gotta hold you up. You need to come through now. We expanded it. We increased it. Now it's over 3,000 square feet. So
man,
what you saw was the beginning. It's a whole other level now, man. Whole nother level.
That is. I think it was just, if I'm not mistaken, it was a room.
That's what I'm talking about. You came at the beginning.
Wow. I got to get back there.
I'm the contractor that remodeled the whole back area. And man, I guarantee you come into that museum, it's gonna shake you up. Yeah,
I'm gonna make that trip. Hey, can you give Brother Rock? Can you give the people the address? So again, the next one, November 19th, Saturday, November 19th, noon to 6. Can you give everyone the address again?
It is 2251 Florin Road, Sacramento, California. I like to tell everybody it's on the corner of 24th and Florin Road behind the McDonald's. You can't miss it.
Everybody knows what that is. Everybody probably know what that is.
They know what McDonald's.
Like the Burbank High School area. So yeah, for those who haven't been, or if you have been, definitely worth the trip. And now that I know that museum has been expanded, I definitely got to go back there and check it out again.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. You got to make it happen.
Yeah, appreciate it. Brother Raw, man, it's been a pleasure getting to know you, man, and having a chat with you for the past 45 minutes. And bro, much blessings to you, and I wish you well. And I look forward to seeing you out there at the African marketplace.
Ashe, I appreciate you. Peace and Black power to you, man.
Ashe, my brother. All right, you take care, man.
You too.
Thank you.